Ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome you very happily to this edition of the Village Square. You know, here we do things that affect us. We discuss issues that will promote healthy rivalry. We treat issues that will promote good citizenship. Of course, we do the much we can to hold the government responsible. We go beyond that as well. We educate. We also entertain. We expose where necessary. That has endeared the Village Square to our teeming listeners out there. And of course, we also create the opportunity for the voiceless to speak, air their views, contribute to issues that border on our collective existence. That is what we do on the Village Square.
In this period of 7 years, I have served the government in several capacities, and I have represented our country in sensitive, high-level international engagements. I've been to practically all local governments in Nigeria. I've been in markets, in factories, in schools, and farms, in the Delta, in Kebbi, in Enugu, in Borno, in Rivers, in Plateau and Ondo, and in all other states of the Federation. I've visited our gallant troops in the Northeast and our brothers and sisters in the IDP camps. I've felt the pain and anguish of victims in violent conflicts, terrorist attacks, flooding, fire, and other disasters. I've been in the homes of many Nigerians in various parts of the country. I have sat with our techpreneurs, with our Nollywood and Kannywood actors, with our musicians. I stood where they stood, and I sat where they sat. I know their hopes and aspirations and their fears. And I believe that in those hopes and aspirations are the seeds for the great Nigeria that we all desire. I believe that the very reason why the Almighty God gave me these experiences, these insights, and these opportunities is that they must be put to the use of our country and its great peoples. Which is why I am today, with utmost humility, formally declaring my intention to run for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
What has been trending is the declaration by the Vice President of Nigeria to succeed his boss, President Muhammadu Buhari. People are adding their voices, making their contributions, some in support, of course, some have some misgivings, and that is how it should be. In every democracy, people would make their contributions to issues. So today, we are going to add our voices to analyze what you think about the declaration of Professor Yemi Osinbajo to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari. What are the key things he mentioned in his speech? What are the things we are taking away? Is he the right candidate to succeed Muhammadu Buhari? Does he have all it takes, going by his speech, to do well? Does his speech entail that he truly understands the problems of Nigeria and is willing to tackle them? These and many more issues we shall going to be discussing on this particular program, The Village Square. And I have with me two guests. One is already in the studio and one will be joining me on the phone. I have here with me one of my regular guests, a public affairs analyst, somebody who is enthusiastic about the issues surrounding Nigeria. I am talking about no less a person than Mr. Rowland Alozie. Mr. Alozie, welcome to this edition of the Village Square.
Thank you, the Village Head, for having me, and good evening, dear listeners.
Joining me on the phone is one man who says things the way they are. Barrister Oracle Nwala, MONI. Barrister Nwala, welcome to the Village Square.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stanley Nduagu, and it's a great privilege to be invited to do this.
Thank you very much. Now, let's set the ball rolling. Yemi Osinbajo today declared officially to run for the office of the President of Nigeria. How do you think it has changed the game? Or do you think rather that it has changed the game in the APC and in Nigeria as a whole?
Thank you very much for the question. In the first instance, the declaration by the Vice President today, no doubt altered the equation. In the first instance, is the declaration that has been awaited. A lot of people have been looking forward. There has been speculations. There have been various moments, things were thrown up, and we all flung into it, and eventually it happened today. One thing that has happened today is this. Now, there has been rumors, there has been debates, there has been arguments on various issues. I think we're going to look at those issues in course of this presentation that today's declaration has thrown up. And one of the ways in which it has changed the game is that a lot of people are looking forward to conversation that will follow it. Conversation that will revolve around whether some other aspirants are going to step down or they are going to continue, how his declaration will impact on other people's declaration, aspiration. So these are some of the conversation that is going to go, and this is one declaration, and like I said earlier, that will impact on every other aspirant in terms of especially the presidential election, and of course, because of the typical lining of politics, what happens up will affect eventually how things work down in terms of the national and the subnational entity. We are going to see a lot of changes and games and power play that will come up.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you, sir. Mr. Alozie, what do you make of the president's, vice president's presidential declaration?
Yeah, thank you, Doc. The declaration has been long awaited. Sometime, I think earlier last week, a declaration speech came up on the internet, and people were congratulating the VP for taking the bold step, but it turned out to be false when his spokesperson said that it didn't come from the vice president. But today we saw a presidential declaration that is presidential. Some of the persons who have declared to run for the office of the president have not done what Professor Yemi Osinbajo did today. In his speech, in the speech that he made today, he sees somebody who understands the problem that the country is facing and who is ready to tackle them head on. So I think the speech, there are some persons, as you mentioned in your intro, there are persons that have misgiving because he declared. Why his boss, in quote, Tinubu has already declared that some people see it as a betrayal, that he has is trying to bite the finger that fed him. But those people also forgot to know that no one person can make somebody, whatever the person is. Nobody, Bola Tinubu cannot take the credit that he single-handedly made Yemi Osinbajo the vice president. Credit must also be given to other people, including President Buhari, who accepted to work with somebody that he met for the first time when he came to fill form for the office of the vice president. So I think his declaration today, just like Barrister Oracle said, has altered the equation and the race for the presidency.
From the internet, people are making this assertion that Osinbajo has betrayed his master. One of the things I saw on the net is when people asked him question that your son has declared, and he said, I don't have a son old enough to declare, something in that line. So, Barrister Nwala, do you see that declaration as biting the finger or the hand that fed him?
Well, I don't know detail of what you have just said, but I think that in this circumstance, it's difficult to say there's betrayal. Betrayal has to do with a negation from what has been agreed initially. And there's no one that has said, and there's no where it's been given, that there was a time, knowingly or by any means, the vice president made undertaking not to run for presidential election. There's nothing like that. So to the extent that there is nothing like that, it's difficult to talk about betrayal. Betrayal has to do with a breach of an agreement. There's something we have agreed on, and then he's not going. That somebody is expressing his rights over a particular thing. I'm entitled to this, you're entitled to it. And sometimes people talk about people that, they finger that fair do finger. Every human being, Mr. Nduagu, there are people that raised you up. Every human being has people that raised them up or contributed to who they are. When people say they are self-made, most times there is nothing like that. People could have advised, people could have recommended, people could have nominated. In the case of Osinbajo, he was nominated. There was a deadlock on who was to be the vice president. Now, Tinubu was asked, or their team was asked to produce. They were coming from the ACN and the CPC that came to merge as APC, and the slot came to them, and he nominated, or the ACN nominated. Of course, you can't remove the role Tinubu played in that. But that does not mean that once somebody contributes or nominates me to an office, it automatically extinguishes my right to vie for a further office. I don't know. It does not. So we can talk of any other thing, but to say of betrayal has to be with there's something entrusted to you and you are making use of it inconsistent with the ownership of the person that has given the trust to you. So that's my opinion.
Thank you very much.
I don't think anything comes in as betrayal.
Thank you very much for making that clear, because people believe that, Osinbajo shouldn't have declared because his boss, the man who made him, in quotes, I'm saying in quotes, is also vying for the office. Therefore, he shouldn't declare. Osinbajo has the constitutional right to vie for any office. According to Barr Oracle Nwala, there hasn't been anywhere we are told that there was an agreement that Osinbajo, you will not run for the office of the vice president of the president after being the vice president.
Yeah, coming to how Osinbajo became the vice president, I've said it on this studio that Bola Tinubu himself, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, tried to make himself the VP, even set up a committee which Osinbajo was a member on how to market the Muslim ticket. He cited the example of MK Abiola and I think it was Babagana Kingibe. Then that it worked in 1993, that they should use the same approach to market him and Buhari to Nigerians, which Osinbajo's committee rejected, that is not going to fly. So, coming to his emergence as the vice president and the issue of betrayal, it was a committee and names were mentioned, and their their pedigree and the issue of corruption, because the most selling point of President Buhari then was that he was corrupt free, and they needed somebody that will be his running mate who will also have the same attribute of no issue of corruption
hanging on the person's neck.
Yes, the names like Adams Oshomole was mentioned for the position of VP. The names of Yemi Osinbajo was there. Mamora, the current Minister of State for Health, was also mentioned. And finally, the committee settled on Yemi Osinbajo, which Tinubu finally agreed on. He rejected it. From what Grapevine said, he rejected Osinbajo initially because Osinbajo did not buy the idea of a Muslim ticket. And because he rejected it, that he should not benefit from it. So having said that, I read a comment on a post on Facebook where somebody said that this week we are talking about, this week is the Holy Week and the Christendom.
Christendom.
In the Christendom, that this is the week that Judas Iscariot betrayed Jesus Christ, and Yemi Osinbajo is
declared the same week.
Chose to declare the same week that he does. The person said that he does not have issue with the declaration, that he has issue with the timing. How petty people can be.
That is petty.
How petty people can be. For me, like Barrister Nwala said, I asked somebody on Facebook, is there any pre-agreement that after running for vice president, you will not vie for any other office?
You will leave it for me.
Yes. If nobody has produced any document showing that there were any pre-agreement that once you go for this vice president, leave the office of the president for me. And what is the acceptability rate of the person they are talking about that he's been betrayed? People are asking him to not even run because of issue of health challenges that he's facing. So for me, there is nothing like betrayal in the declaration of Yemi Osinbajo. If he had even declared when people were asking him to declare, and he chose his time, he know all the indices that he was looking at before making the declaration. If he had declared like a month ago, I doubt whether some of these questions, some of these issues that people are raising would have arose.
So what it implies that Tinubu did not handpick Osinbajo to make him a vice president.
Never.
He was chosen by a committee, yes, but with little input from Tinubu.
People like Ibukunle Amosi, the former governor of Ogun State, played a role. Chief Bisi Akonde was part of the committee, and the other people. So it was not something that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu
unilaterally did.
No.
The much I know, I don't think that the problem we are seeing between Osinbajo and Asiwaju Tinubu exists. You know, political pundits, we make predictions, permutations, and we say so many things. It doesn't mean that those problems actually exist. I did not clearly hear part of what my co-presenter presented, but I could understand that he was also able to capture, even in more detail than I did, the fact that ahead of presentation of Professor Osinbajo as the vice president, there was a committee. It wasn't as if, okay, somebody just said, look at the person that will be. No, a committee went on a manhunt. Osinbajo was not the first person that was thrown off for that office. There were two other names that came up. But eventually, two names were agreed on and taken to the elder. What everybody must give credit to is that this leadership was headed by Asiwaju. It was such constructed that it was at his discretion to a very large extent, and one will concede that. But it's not to say, even though the vice president has not come forward to make statement about this, all we can do to some extent is to gauge what happened, because most of us were not in the room when the eventual decision was taken. But what is clear is this: a committee was set up by the old ACN. They went on a manhunt, looked at a lot of who were considered, and we have the names of those that were actually considered. But eventually, a lot of people felt, see, Osinbajo will be a better match. One, the intellectual capacity he will bring into the government. Two, the fact that he's also a Christian, because they needed to post the South. You remember that at that material time, what was very common in a campaign was that, see, Buhari is a Muslim, and people were parading such thing as he's so much entrenched that he will not be able to accommodate. So getting a pastor, if anybody said that Osinbajo has now betrayed Tinubu, that means they didn't mean well when they brought Tinubu. That they only wanted to use him as a Christian to be able to fly that campaign. So, and I don't think that was the situation.
Thank you very much. From my take is that the issue of betrayal is neither here nor there. There is no betrayal. Yeah. That is what we take. And Tinubu himself has not even made any comment in that regard. Let me come back to you, sir. Does the declaration speech show a man prepared that understands the situation of Nigeria and is prepared to tackle them?
Yeah, I've read a lot of comments about the speech, because I think a lot of people, we are used to very long speech. We are used to 10-page, 20-page speech for declaration. And a lot of people felt disappointed. Yeah, just one and two, less than 2 pages. It's not in the length of the presentation. In that short speech, Osinbajo captured the most essential thing that we need to know about his declaration. He told us how he started. He told us that he has been part of this process. He also identified that there are challenges which they met. There are also challenges that have not been solved. He talked about his engagement, which is critical in leadership. He talked about vertical and horizontal engagement. He talked about engagement outside the country. This immune exposure. Because one of the problems we are having most times is that we take people without pedigree into sensitive offices. And the greatest problem we have in our leadership today, it has to do with the selection process. Leadership selection process is becoming porous, which means that An Agbero, the man you call Agbero, the man you call a tout at the motor park can be your next governor. It's a function of who is sponsoring him. It's a function of those who are backing him. Anybody can be anywhere. That's not how things should be. When he was telling us about his engagement outside the country, his engagement at the subnational levels, going to various states, mentioning local government, mentioning communities, he was trying to let us know that, see, they're supposed to platform that prepares me for leadership. He went further, to identify how we have encountered challenges and been able to work on them together. I think that what he has done is a good conundrum. And in most Senate climes, declarations could be done in conundrum. Conundrum is that these are look at where we are going to look at. They are pointers. They're almost like pillars. They are not going to give us the nebula. They are going to, moving forward, he's going to be taking this up one after the other. The most important thing we need to hear about in this speech is security, and he was there. I wanted to be sure that security is paramount in what he's going to say. So for me, I think that it is complete, but not the usual speech that we used to have that is prolonged. And we all know that the problem is not that he cannot write long speech. But for now, we just need to know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the direction. And I know that in the days ahead, he will be able to expound on some of the highlights he has given.
Thank you for throwing more light to that. Let me ask you, Mr. Alozie. One of the key points people are holding against him, according to the speech, is that he said he will continue from where Buhari stopped. That is the issue they hold against him. But my question is there any president that would come that won't continue from where Buhari stopped? Is government not a continuum? Wherever I stop, the next person starts. Should that be an issue in the speech?
I think that has been the talking point of the day. People have tried to make caricature of continue from where the president stopped. If you are not going to continue from where the president stopped, then why are people jostling to be the president? Government is a continuum, as we all know. And if there is no country that will be, if there will be no Nigeria that you continue from, why do you want to be the president? For me, Nigerians question a lot of things. The artist that died was he on Friday night?
The singer.
Yes. The people have started questioning God. Why did God allow somebody that was so devoted
to die
in the hand of a man? Why didn't God protect? So Nigerian can question anything. For me, the VP speech on continue from where the president stopped. Now come to agriculture. Before now, people see eating what we call foreign rice as class, but today almost every Nigerian family is buying made in Nigeria as Nigerian rice, though the price is high. And he said that he's continuing from where the president stopped. By the time he introduced mechanized agriculture and ensure that the credit facility go to those people who farm this rice, it will bring down the price of rice. That is continuing from where the president stopped. He talked about the military architecture, how he's going to bring in. He talked about the military intelligence, something like that. So that is continuing from where the president. Today we are in a war situation. They also met a war situation because I know in 2015 election was shifted for 2 weeks because Boko Haram had taken some local government in the country and they needed to clear Boko Haram from those local governments so that we can hold the election. So they inherited a war situation and we are also in a war situation. And he said he's going to continue where the president stopped because some steps that have taken, he might be part of the decision making, or he knows the extent they've gone, and he knows the things that need to be done to overcome what we call what's the name now? Not Boko Haram, the banditry. So that is another angle of continue from where the president. He talked about the social intervention program, where he said it's going to be expanded to be a complete social welfare program. That is also where the president stopped. He talked about the tech. VP is one person that understands the importance of technology. He interfaces with the younger generation, I know in Nigeria, I know a lot of people that make a lot of money working remote jobs abroad, and they are paid in dollars. And if
why they are in Nigeria?
Where they are in Nigeria. So if he talked about area of the techpreneurs, and if you work on that area and ensure that the cost of data, which is one of the major problem of people that are into technology-based business, is the cost of data in Nigeria, and it's worked and it is brought down. That is also continue from where the president stopped. So any person picking hole from that speech, for me, is being petty. Just like normal, the way Nigerians react to whatever thing that you say, they will always pick hole.
Well, it's just, if we must respond to every criticism, yes, we'll respond to this. You have just stopped, you are conducting an interview now. And if you are not in Real FM tomorrow, does it mean that Real FM must be shut down?
At all.
If they are to do this program, it means that somebody has to continue. Even if the person will change everything about what you have done, what it means is that he's continuing with a different thing. But there must be continuation. Because government is a continuum. Like my colleague there said, what it means that it's a continuum is that it must, unless we are saying that there will be no president in Nigeria, once there's going to be a president, whether that president is from APC or PDP or ABDA, it's a continuum. He must continue. What happened is that there will be changes. Osinbajo did not say he will not change the project. He did not say that he's going to get stuck to the programs, the policy and programs that the current administration has commenced with. All he simply said is that he will continue from where the president stops, which means that there are a lot of good things that are possible. That applauded the president's deed. He will continue. There are a lot of them that will not sync with the policy he will drive. Remember, governance is about policy. When everybody that comes on board comes with policy. Now, in line with the policy you have, there are going to be areas you will amend in the existing policies, even in the legal framework. The areas that will be completely repealed, the areas you enact new ones. So when he said that he's going to continue from where the president stopped, all he's simply saying is that government is a continuum. When I come in, I will review what we have done. I will come with my own policy. I will retain what is valid and will strengthen the policy I'm going to come with. And what will not have the new policy, I will remove. Simple.
Thank you very much. The take here is that every incoming government will continue from where the other government stops.
Yes, every government that comes continue from where
I continue from where Obasanjo stopped. Jonathan continued from where stopped. Buhari continued from where Jonathan stopped. Trump even continued from where Obama stopped. Biden continued from where Trump stopped. So every incoming government will continue from where the other government stopped. It doesn't mean that I am going to do all those people did. He is going to continue, but in another style. Is Osinbajo acceptable based on your own idea nationally? Let me start from Rowland Alozie.
I've read some critics. Somebody like Reno Mokri picked some of the hosts that he picked from the speech.
His normal character.
Yes. He talked about Osinbajo being that President Buhari made him the head of his economic team, and that he has made the economy to Nigeria economy, that Nigeria is among the poorest countries in the world. And I ask, the people that generated, who knows where the people that made the report generated their data? Assuming you come to, let's say, Abia State, and you meet an Abia Poly lecturer who is being owed for over 30 months, and the person tells you his or her woes, and you use it to make a report about Nigeria, what will the report look like? Is it the making of President Buhari? So for me, Professor Yemi Osinbajo is the kind of president Nigeria needs now. One, he is sound. Two, he understands international politics and policies. Three is that, having headed the economic team, I wouldn't know whether the reports that his team always present to the president were implemented. So for me, that is a credit to him, because whoever is going to head his team, his economic team, if he eventually emerges as the president, both of them will sit down and analyze those policies that the economic team is coming, because he understands the economy, having worked as the head of economic team for the present administration. Secondly, he's someone that understands. He has moved from almost the length and breadth of this country. In his speech, he said that he has visited almost all the local governments in the country. He didn't say the state. He said all the local government in the country. That means that he understands Nigeria very well, and he also understands the need of the country. When he was that acting president, I think in 2017,
for 53 or 51 days, I don't know. People keep criticizing him that he was there when Chief Justice of Nigeria was removed and he didn't say anything, and they forgot that it was still the same him that ensured that Onogen was confirmed as a substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. Before he came, he has his first 6 months, I think, of an acting capacity has elapsed, and they also made him an acting and renewed it. But as acting president, he ensured that the right thing was done. So one of the things that he said that he will do is that ensure that the rule of law, he said so,
is respected in the country.
As a lawyer,
that is one thing that is affecting the country, not obeying rule of law. So if we have a president who will prioritize that is obeying of rule of law, no matter who is involved, then I think by doing so, Nigeria is heading somewhere, because it's one of the things that is affecting almost all the facets of the economy. That's number 2. Number 3 again is that he also understands that there need to be rejigging in the military architecture of the country for us to win the war against banditry and terrorism. And he mentioned it in his speech. So for me, Yemi Osinbajo is acceptable, kind of person that Nigeria needs now as president, and he is acceptable. But
Mr. Oracle Nwala, even though you are not campaigning for anyone, you are just analyzing issues. Is Osinbajo the kind of person Nigeria needs at this moment?
Oh, that's a huge question.
Your personal opinion, without being political about it.
Whether he's a kind of person Nigeria needs now. I think that I'll better take it this way. What are the qualities we require for a president in Nigeria today? I think that will capture the essence of your question.
I love that. Go ahead with it.
Yes. What are we looking for in a president now? Tracing from where we started, where we are today, and where we are going, looking at the challenges we have today, we must define the qualities we need in a president. And that is very, very critical. And that will now take us to what Osinbajo is bringing to the table. Remember, a lot of people will say he's been part of this government. Yes. Now, when we deal with the issue of pedigree in terms of, okay, what is somebody's pedigree? And he's been a vice president for the past 7 years. The very first thing we need to check is, and the Senate clients will do this. Let's look at his speeches. Let's look at the way his mind works. Let's go through the presentations he's made over the years, and be able to see the lining, to be able to see this is where this guy, if he has this opportunity, look at what he will do. You see, you have found his presentations his papers, and of course we know him for those kind of presentations, and that is important. In other words, what is the contextual enlargement, the capacity, the intellectual capacity he's bringing on board is something that Nigeria needs today, no doubt. Nigeria needs somebody that has his own. And if I have to use that language, the way we say it most times, he has his own. In the sense that whatever you're bringing, he has the ability to appreciate. He has the ability to analyze. And like I just said recently, a few days ago, I said that anyone interested in statecraft must have 3 fundamental methodologies. 1, management, because he will manage people, and we have seen him with that. But then the power of analysis is important, because everything the president will have to do, whether it's the president or the governor, comes from, and it's all about analyzing issues. What is the problem in security situation? Does it have to do with the security architecture? Does it have to do with this or that? Osinbajo is someone that has very strong analytical power. And we need that, very, very critical for the next president, even in so many states, for the governors. 3, leadership. You know that, like I pointed earlier, one of the major problems we have is this leadership failure. And I said that our leadership failure is caused by the leadership selection process, where somebody just figure off, and somebody's only CV is that I'm strong, I can do this, I can do that. There's nothing intellectual about it. In some other places, all you hear is I'm a philanthropist, I have built this, I have done that. And I think those are things that we need in government. What we need is implementation of policies, policy formulation and implementation. That is all about governance. So I think that Osinbajo is coming with the kind of candor, the capacity, he's competitive in any way. You can take him, he can stand any other person. See, it makes no sense that Nigeria will have a president who will not, from the confines of his bedroom, speak to the whole world, and the world will listen. He will come anywhere, and he will. In fact, if there's a global issue, if the Nigerian president hasn't spoken, everybody will be wondering what is happening, because they know the capacity that the Nigerian president is coming with. So I think that if these are what we need, unless what we are looking for is the thing that is common here, the typical thing here that works only here, that hasn't taken us anywhere. Osinbajo for me is a person from APC, from all those that are vying for the office so far I know in the All Progressive Congress.
Thank you for being blunt. I know you as a man who says things the way they are, no matter who is involved. I appreciate that. Let me ask you, Mr. Alozie, Osinbajo, they say, is weak. He has not confronted Buhari. He does whatever Buhari. Do you see Osinbajo as a weak person or as becoming a weak president?
For me, anybody saying that Osinbajo is weak does not know him. That is that, because one, you don't expect Osinbajo to go confrontational with his boss. That is not sign of being strong. Let me also refer to when he was acting president. There is an incident that happened at the National Assembly involving the DSS, where they shot at the National Assembly, which was a kind of discretion to that hollow chambers. And what did Osinbajo did? The Director General of the DSS, I think his name is Lawal Daura, who is from
Buhari's hometown.
Yes. It didn't take Osinbajo anything to sack him from that position.
Not minding that that's his president's brother.
Not minding that he was in acting capacity. Not minding that he was surrounded by people from the so-called cabal then, because nobody knew what the outcome of the president's medical trip would have been. And he didn't mind all those things, and he did the right thing. And somebody is saying that he's weak. When he becomes the commander-in-chief, people are mistaking the office of the vice president to that of the president. Vice president, like I always say, is like a spare tire whose only usefulness is when one of the tires is 40. Osinbajo, as far as I'm concerned, and from the way he talks, doesn't for me look like somebody that is weak. And the actions that he took as an acting president, I remember as at the time he was the acting president, people were making money from the CBN, people who were doing what they call round tripping and forest market, people who were buying from, they get dollar from the CBN and sell at the black market. When he came in, he stopped it, and people that were doing it were people who were very close to the president, and he stopped it. And somebody is saying that he's weak. He's weak because that they've not heard that the vice president and the president exchanged blows, and that's a rock. That is not any sign of weakness at all. If Osinbajo becomes the president, from the policies that he will form, I think Osinbajo coming as a president, we have strong institution, and the what people see as somebody being strong is in Nigeria where people are strong and the institutions are not strong. But Osinbajo that I've listened to, Osinbajo that I've watched, if he becomes the president, we have strong institution.
But Mr. Oracle Nwala, Nigeria needs a bridge builder. Nigeria needs one who will bring us together as one. Nigeria needs a president who will give the opportunity given to one young man in Darowa to the same man in Abakaleke. Do you see Osinbajo as being that kind of person?
Okay, thank you, Doc. You see, it will still take us back to the issue I've been talking about, and we can't say enough of it. Pedigree. Let us look at Osinbajo. Even as a contribution to the last question you asked my colleague, most times we talk about this, somebody being quiet as if confrontation is a virtue. So as if that if Osinbajo wakes up and slaps the president or fights him, it shows that he's a strong man. It shows that he's wise. I don't know why we think that way. So I think that his attitude, he doesn't abandon processes. What is important in the process is to get it done. Get things done. Now, you start it and you end. My approach may be different from your approach. And because I'm not confrontational, doesn't mean that my approach is bad. So some other people may want to fight. At every occasion, they are fighting. They are, So when we meet people who prefer to have this peacefully sorted out, it's not a problem. They are not out of shape. Now, in further answer to his ability to unite Nigeria, does he have anything that detracts from the? Is there anything to show that he does not have what it takes to unite Nigeria? Osinbajo, if there's anybody that can unite Nigeria very well, is Osinbajo. Not only because of his pedigree. Remember, this man is first and foremost a lecturer, a lawyer, not just a lawyer, a senior advocate who has handled issues, who has handled convoluted issues of Nigeria. And I think that all it will take for him to be able to put Nigeria is the kind of candor he comes with, is the kind of attitude, the kind of quality, the qualities he's bringing on board. I have no doubt in my mind that Professor Osinbajo has what it takes to unite Nigeria. He can, reach out to all the tribes, reach out to all the subnationals, be able to bring everybody under one roof. There's no doubt about that. And he doesn't have anything to show at any time that he's not religious tolerant. He does not tolerate others. He has not shown anything. He has not anything to show that he does not appreciate or value any section. And this is something we need in Nigeria today. No, we don't need anybody that will bring in more confusion than we have.
Yeah, Mr. Alozie, do you see the youth? Age has been a factor people have been talking about. This man is old, we want a younger person. Somebody even had to run around Amesiamaka Stadium. I don't know what that means, but people are reading meanings into it. Do you see that youthfulness in him? Because we say we don't need somebody who is tired, who will be going on medical trips overseas every now and then. Do you see him as being physically fit, going by his age to fit into the arrangement we are talking about? Let me put it that way.
The issue of the issue of youthfulness, I think amongst all the people that declared for office of the president, the youngest among them is Yaya Bello.
Yaya Bello of Kogi State.
And amongst the present governors we have in Nigeria, I think he's the least performed. So I think age cannot make one. Someone that does not have anything to offer, that you are young, will not make.
So even if you are young, you won't offer it.
Yes, because
you don't give what you don't have.
There is this adage in Igbo land that people with gray hair, that there is wisdom, and our own generation now has that somebody that is foolish when the person is young, when the person is old with the gray hair, change
all.
So for me, Yemi Osinbajo as vice president, most of the people that work with him are young people. That closeness with the younger generation is one thing that makes him to be kind of technological savvy, which is one thing that Nigeria of today needs. So whether I can't actually quote his age, but I know that he'll be in his early 60s. One thing that people are talking about Bola Tinubu is not that he's old. The challenge people have with him is his health condition. Assuming that he's healthy, Atiku is older than Tinubu by what we have on record, but Atiku is stronger. So for Yemi Osinbajo at his age and how he relates to the youth, I think he's one of the persons who are more that is more connected to the younger generation than most of the aspirants that have declared so far. All
right, let me get back to Barrister Oracle Nwala. Barrister Nwala, in a free and fair primary election, do you see Professor Yemi Osinbajo emerging as the candidate of APC?
I don't know what's stopping him, but you must allow me a second to contribute to the last question.
Go ahead.
Talking about age and those who are able to run. Most times you ask yourself, what is the demand of the office? The office of the president is it about conceiving policies and being able to follow through policy implementation? Is it about running? Is it about because there you're not going to fight. It's not about fight. And of course, age is what people say is numbers. I really don't have problem with Tinubu because he's 69 or 70. I don't know. I was not there when he was born. But then you look at somebody's courage and what he's able to do, and consider the office that is involved. If you're going to the office that requires your being attentive 24/7 almost, if we don't expect that the Nigerian president should be sleeping. That's our mind, that's our thinking, which means he has to put in a lot of hours. It then calls that the person must be able to be such that can put in that what is required in terms of the manpower at the time. There are people who are 50 that will not be able to do that work. There are people who are 60 that will do over and above. In direct answer to that question, I have no doubt he will win. I have no doubt that he will come successful. He will win primaries if there is free and fair election, like you have rightly said. Because right now, people are getting informed. People are beginning to look at the right things for their leaders. Like I said earlier, the selection process, people are getting involved. Market women are beginning to listen to news, follow politics. So it's no longer as it used to be. Somebody from somewhere say, okay, this is where we are going to, everybody will go there. Because eventually everybody goes to the same market. We're all suffering the same thing. We buy fuel at the same rate. So people are getting wiser. And once people are informed and they are taking decisions for themselves, you be sure that they will take decisions that impact text on them. So I have no doubt.
All right, Mr. Alozie, let me ask you, the delegates determine who becomes the presidential candidate. And we know that money plays a role in who the delegates would vote for. We heard rumor, I don't know how true that was, that even some delegates were influenced with as much as $5,000 to vote for the particular candidate in the PDP. Now, what do you advise delegates to do across all parties, not just APC now?
My advice to the delegates is simple. Anybody can come with any amount. If you are free to collect the money, but ensure that that money will never buy your conscience. All the aspirants will be speaking to the delegates before the primaries, and I think at the venue of the primary election, as in the convention, the mini convention to select the presidential candidate. The delegates, majority of them are very educated people who understands the problems that the country is facing. Having seen the aspirants, people who have declared interest to run, both the PDP and the APC, having seen the policy documents that these people are coming up with, ensure that whatever the person is giving you, for you to vote the person, if money is what is influencing you, will last you for 8 years or 4 years, that the person will, you and your children, because any mistake made now, you will suffer
for 4 or 8 years.
Right now, I think in a filling station, a liter of diesel is sold for over 700 naira right now. And you go to some eateries, you find out that their ACs are switched off because they have to economize. So for anybody that is preferring money to credibility, you should also understand that the suffering is for a period of 4 years.
All right, Barrister Nwala, what is your advice for the delegates across all parties, be it PDP, APC, ABGA, any party at all, from the state primary election for governors, senators, House of Members to the presidential election? What do you tell delegates from the bottom of your heart?
Honestly, I don't think that delegates will be misadvised now. Dr. Stanley, do you buy the fuel different from what I buy it?
Not at all.
Are you more secure than I am?
Not at all.
There is no section of this country that's not having their problem. If you are in Zamfara, Kaduna, you're having kidnapping and banditry. If you're in the southeast, we have this separatist movement and agitations, and that's causing us problems. If you go to the southwest, you have cultism that is raging there. There is kidnapping heavy in. So there is no section that is spared, and we are all involved. I don't think that they need the advice. Everybody knows that right now we need to put our hands together to be able to add value to the Nigerian project. And how do we do that? Yes, you talked about money politics. Money politics is there everywhere in the world. Forget that we overdo it in Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, that's why election is expensive everywhere anyway. The idea of collecting money and doing what you don't want to do, you can't be doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Somebody says a lot of madness. I think that this is the time everybody must, all hands, if I have to use that old cliche, all hands must be on deck to bring back another Nigeria. This transcends to the states, the various senatorial districts, the federal House of Representatives aspirants,
right.
The State House of Assembly. We must be able to look at the personalities involved, look at their pedigree, look at where they are coming from, look at what they have done previously to reassure ourselves that these people have the capacity to do this.
Thank you, sir.
Don't take what somebody has not done before and you're giving it to him, he will fumble. He can manage it.
Thank you, sir.
No matter how much it is, we should be able to do the right thing.
Thank you, Barrister Oracle Nwala, for adding value to what we are discussing this evening. I must thank you for being part of this show. Mr. Rowland Alozie, I thank you also very passionately for being part of this show. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do it again next week. Until then, remain law-abiding. I am Dr. Stanley Nduagu, the host. Goodbye.